Alright, well, we're out here in Taupo today. We're at a place called Craters of the Moon, and you may see some steam coming up out of the ground here. We are in a geothermal zone, so there's some more up there as well. Geothermal zone, essentially we've got different growing conditions. So we are going to see a bunch of different unique species here. I'm going to start this off with a bit of a cautionary statement that I have not prepared myself on the species in the Taupo region, and specifically, especially not within the geothermal zone, or at least in geothermal habitats. So yeah, there may be some that I just don't actually know. I am aware that there is geothermal kanuka here, which is Kunzea tenuicolis. So we'll definitely be checking that out. It's a pretty funky little species. Usually kanuka is more of a tree, but these ones, I don't know if it's because of the poorer growing conditions being geothermal or what, but yeah, they don't tend to grow into a tree. And out into the geothermal area, we're going to check out the kanuka first, and yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff here as well. We've got tall mingi-mingi. We've actually got both the mingi-mingis here. This one's Leucopogon fasciculatus, and I'll point out if we find the prickly mingi-mingi. This here is actually, this is the geothermal kanuka, but I'll show you when we get a little bit further down. The ones here aren't quite as stunted. They've got a little bit better growing conditions, I suppose, getting a little bit bigger. So yeah, that's Kunzea tenuicolis, pretty much restricted entirely to these geothermal areas. We've got a lot of Perosia elaeagnifolia. It's an epiphytic climbing fern, Polypodiaceae family. You can tell by that classic sorry structure on there. And yeah, we've got a lot of the typical things that you see elsewhere. I mean, we've got Pseudopanax arboreus here, and this one I've pointed out in a previous video, the what's it called, Pseudodephasium volubile, I think, or is it scariosum? I cannot remember, but it's the one with the reduced leaves on that dorsal surface there. So yeah, that one's it's a club moss, so Lycopodiaceae family. Got hound's tongue there as well. Zealandia postulatus. These are actually in the same family, the Zealandia and also the Perosia here. Same family of ferns. And yeah, a lot of Coprosma here. Coprosma robusta. I did see some Lucida a bit further up as well. This one here is robusta, that typical black tip to the stipules there. Okay, yeah, so I mentioned we have both the mingi-mingis, the ones in the Ericaceae family at least, so Leucopogon fasciculatus, the tall mingi-mingi. It's a little bit kinder to grab. And then just behind me here we've got Leptocophila juniperina. So this one's the prickly mingi-mingi. If you grab it wrong, it will stick holes in your fingers. It's got the white fruit. I think sometimes they are also pink, but particularly here they are white, whereas our other one does have these very vivid red berries that you can see there. But yeah, coming out into this more active geothermal area, you can see this entire kind of low shrubland here. That is almost entirely Kunzea tenuicolis, the geothermal kanuka. So we've actually got some seed pods here. I'm gutted that I didn't come a couple months earlier. This species of kanuka is the earliest flowering species. All the other ones kind of flower a little bit later in the season, but this one's already finished flowering and also pretty much entirely finished setting seed as well. So all of the seed pods on this, it's a little bit hard to get them in focus because they're so small. they've already opened up and released their seeds. So yeah, we've missed out on seeing the flowering of this. A lot of these plants are absolutely covered in these tiny little seed pods. As you can see there's just tons of them on here. So this would have just been completely flushed white with flowers, which would have been incredible to see. I'll definitely have to come back here sometime and check that out at the right time of year. But yeah, as you can see, super low stunted growth. I mean, it's only about waist high. You can probably kind of wade out into there and still have your head sticking out over the surface. Whereas other species of Kunzea, they do turn into more of a tree. Well, keep in mind that there is also, that's also the geothermal Kānuka. So it does grow into a tree if it has a slightly better growing conditions, but most of the plants here are rather stunted. We do also have a classic New Zealand blueberry, turutu, Dianella nigra. There are some berries on there as well. Kind of a whitish blueberry, as you can see there. Sometimes they are a lot darker blue. I don't know why it's not focusing. There we go. So yeah, that's the berry of that one. I am out here with my trusty camera once again, and also I've got a new lens. So this is a macro lens, so I have been taking a lot of nice juicy close-up photos of some of these plants that have smaller structures on them, particularly kind of the leaves of this Kānuka here. It does have tiny little leaves on it, and also those tiny little seed pods. So I've taken some photos of that, some nice close-up macros. And yeah, interesting here, we've got kind of a different coloured or different coloration on those leaves there. I don't know if that's genetic or perhaps particular growing conditions of where that plant is situated, but it's looking a lot more kind of reddish on there. Yeah, that's kind of the main things so far. I've got another whauwhau there, the 5-finger classic weed. I've seen a few weeds here. Erigeron sumatrensis, that one. Pretty bad one. You see that sprouting up on the side of the roads everywhere. Hiya.
Hi.
Hey. Anything else to point out? Not seeing much. More hound's tongue. We do have a Asplenium, first Asplenium I've seen, Asplenium polyodon, with that kind of serrated margin to those pinnules there, or pinnae. I don't know if it's pinnules, if they've just got one set of division along that front. I think it's just pinnae at that point. If it divided again, they'd be pinnules, I think. Don't quote me on that. Having to kind of stop and look through that undergrowth a little bit. I think that's a Coprosma lucida in there. If we zoom in, that's looking like a Coprosma lucida. Yeah, it's got that kind of apiculate tip on it. And yeah, that's about it. Anything else to show you? Not too sure. There's another Erigeron sumatrensis there. A bunch of Euchiton. Couldn't tell you which one it is. Those classic cudweeds. Not too sure. Do need to try and wrap my head around those again. I was kind of understanding them at one point. We've got a Veronica there, probably stricta. I think it's stricta that I've been seeing around the place. There's a bunch of broom there, so that's another weed, I think. I think it's, yeah, so that's not good. And yeah, anyways, moving along. It is mostly this geothermal Kānuka. It's clearly the dominant species here. It's just absolutely everywhere. You can see the odd, I think it's probably a tall mingi there sticking up amongst the Kānuka. You can see here the stuff's actually only not even knee height now. It's very low, which is crazy. Crazy for a Kānuka to be that small. Yeah, there's some flowering Veronica there. Lots of that erigeron. I don't know the common name to that. Something about a fleabane or something or other. I'll have it on the screen for you anyway. I really want to like wade out a little bit into here. I mean, this looks like it's kind of like a path. They did specifically say don't go off the path for your safety, because obviously I could fall into a geothermal thing, so I better just stay on here. It's just I saw some funky looking ferns amongst the Kunzea over there. I can see some more there actually. It does look like it's in the Glyciniaceae family. It's more there. Can't get close enough though. Definitely Glyciniaceae, but I don't think it's Dicaris or Glycinia. I'll have to look into that. Not too sure. Maybe we'll find some closer ones at some point. Got another club moss there that looks like Palinhaya cernua sprouting up there. A staghorn club moss, I think it's called. Perfect conditions for finding club mosses, I suppose. Got that kind of open, dry kind of habitat. Well, this prickly mingi mingi is heavily fruiting. Look at that. That's crazy. Again, that's Leptocophila juniperina. I think it's subspecies juniperina as well, because I think this species is also in Australia, and that's a different subspecies though. Yeah, so the New Zealand one is a particular subspecies. Anyways, I'll get back to you if I find anything else of interest. Well, it didn't take long to find something else. Only problem is that I don't know exactly what it is. I know that it's Dracophyllum, that's the genus, but I couldn't tell you which species it is. Not too sure on them. I'm being completely swarmed by flies currently as well, it's very annoying. But yeah, we've got Dracophyllum here. I'm going to be posting some photos onto iNaturalist. A little flower bud there. I did find some flowers as well, or a single flower. A little white thing there. Cool little thing. It looks very similar to the Dracophyllum that I saw on Parihaka that I think I showed you. But that one's restricted to Northland only, so it's definitely not. I've also just spotted a young katydid here as well, which is pretty cool. And there's the fly landing on my finger. Get out of here. A little katydid on the Dracophyllum there. Super cool. Okay, so I've been walking for quite a bit longer, and it's almost entirely just the geothermal Kānuka now, and it's reduced to these tiny little, I mean, they're not even shrubs anymore. But there's also a whole heap of the staghorn club moss, the Palinhaya cernua. Whole heap of it. Seems to like this little mound here for some reason. Yeah, that's kind of like the brighter yellowish green sprouting up amongst the darker browny green Kānuka. Very cool. Coming up to a lot of steam. So it's clearly becoming less suitable growing conditions. I mean, plant diversity of 2 species, I think, that I can count. Literally just the club moss and the Kānuka. Can't see anything else. Yeah. So pretty extreme habitat. You can tell by the soil there. I mean, it's dry as anything. It doesn't look like it's got any nutrients in it or anything. Yeah. Pretty funky. Anyways, I'll keep on walking. Maybe if we're lucky we'll come across 1 or 2 more species. Right after talking about our club moss here, our Palinhaya cernua, I just saw a sign here. and I've got it as the old name, so that's an old synonym of the species, Lycopodium cernuum. Pretty sure it's been changed to Palinhia now. Maybe that's just a New Zealand thing. At least that's what it is on the New Zealand Plant Conservation Network, and I find that website pretty reliable. Maybe these signs are quite old as well. They do look a little bit old. And either way, Lycopodium cernuum or Palinhia cernuum, kind of referring to the same species. Okay, so I found what may be the last flowers of the season for this geothermal Kānuka. Because as I was saying, they do flower earlier than all other Kunzea species, typically flowering from August through till January. And well, the time that I'm recording this is late February. This is the only plant that I've found that has flowers on it, and I'm super happy that I found them, because I was knowing that otherwise I'm going to have to come back here next year or later this year to capture the flowers. So I'm glad that I got that. I've got them on my trusty macro lens as well, so I'll put those photos up on the screen for you to see. And yeah, stoked. And there are some buds still, so there are some more flowers yet to open up. And yeah, very cool. Clearly this plant is just a bit of a late bloomer, I guess, compared to all the other ones that have already done their dash. Very cool. Okay, so I found that fern that I saw earlier, the one that's in the Glyciniaceae family, and it is Dichronopterus linearis. So there's another genus that I hadn't heard of before. Very cool. I mean, it looks quite similar to those other Glyciniaceae species, so much so that there was a sign over the other end there that said that this is Glycinia dicarpa, but it certainly isn't. Definitely not Glycinia dicarpa. It looks totally different. Yeah, well, at least at a close-up view of it anyway. Sign over there falsely identifying it as Glycinia dicarpa, but that's just not the case. I think it was at one of the steaming pools. I think it's that one up there. There's a sign saying that it was Glycinia, but yeah, more you know. That's all. I'll get back to you shortly. I mean, we're getting near the end of the walk now. I've kind of pointed out most of the things that I think we're going to see. I mean, there's a few, looks like terrace species in there, maybe, or Paisia, might be Paisia scaburigula. Again, we're not allowed to go off the path, so I can't get a nice close look at it, unfortunately. Mochoprosma. So it looks like we're getting a little bit nicer habitat here. We've got Pittosporum tenuifolium, the black matipo, or it's also called kohuhu, I believe. Yeah, pretty cool. Black matipo because it looks like it's got black stems on it, I guess. Looks rather similar to red matipo, even though they are completely unrelated. There's more of that fern there, Dichronopterus linearis. You can see that the segments here aren't entirely divided all the way to the base. That's quite a bit different from the Glycinia species. There's another Asplenium there, Asplenium flaccidum. Probably quite a few things here that I could point out, to be honest, if I hung out on the ground for long enough. Mind you, I don't really know my little weeds there. That looks like a Fabaceae of some sort. Not sure. I don't know. Need to learn my weeds a bit better. Haven't seen any more flowering Kānuka though. I think it was that one plant out of the thousands that I must have passed on that walk. I've seen one that's still flowering. So I think I got pretty lucky to spot that, really, because I could have easily just walked straight past it. Okay, well that's the video done, I suppose. Back in the car now. Yeah, I didn't end up recording an outro on the way out of the place. Kind of just walked out completely forgetting that I needed to finish the video. There was a few more plants kind of up the top near the entrance, but I'm pretty sure they're all planted there by the organisation. What's it called? Craters of the Moon. Pretty sure it's all planted because there was a few kind of like hybrids and interesting looking cultivars in there. So yeah, pretty sure it's planted up the top, but then that geothermal area, that seems pretty natural, other than all of the weeds that are starting to sprout up within some of the areas in there. Otherwise, it was a pretty cool walk. I'd say it's worth the $10 entry. I guess to do it once at least as a New Zealander. If you're coming from overseas, then yeah, may as well pay the entry fee. You're paying for all these other things to do as a tourist, so yeah. If you live in Taupo, then, or Taupo I should say, then it's half price, so it's only $5. But yeah, pretty cool walk. Interesting plant species. Need to look into what that, or which Dracophyllum species that was. If I did work it out, it should have been on the screen for you back when I was showing it. But otherwise, yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.